Ellie from the Dark Imp, helping parents reclaim family time by playing board games together. Today, 3 dexterity games. Dexterity games, as you might expect, involve manipulating different components, sometimes very fast, sometimes with great precision, sometimes both. So let's have a look. First of all, Cubits. Cubits is very straightforward in terms of the rules. It has very few components. It has 4 of these little trays, each with 16 cubes in them, and each of the cubes is identical. It has different patterns, so it's got one side is plain white, one side is full colour, and different players have different ones. So there's a red set, there's a green set, there's a blue set, I think. One has a spot on one way and the other opposite side has a spot in the reverse way, and then the other two faces have triangles. Okay, and then it comes with a deck of cards, and each card is a different pattern. So what you're trying to do each turn is making the pattern. Now they suggest that you do 3 rounds of one type, 3 rounds of another type, and then finally 3 rounds of the third type. The first type is reveal the card. Everybody builds it as quickly as they can. So the card will show black and white, but you need to make it in your colour and white. So the white corresponds with the white and the black corresponds with your colour. And it's a race to see who can do it first. And then that player takes the card, and that's part of their score. So at the end of the game, you score how many cards you've got. There are all sorts of different cards, different patterns. The second type of round, so you do 3 of the first type, 3 of the second type, is that you roll all the dice and you're still racing to create the pattern, but you can only use what you've rolled. So you take out what you've rolled, you make the pattern, then with anything left you re-roll, and you take out again and you make the pattern, you continue to make the pattern, you re-roll. So you have to roll what you need before you can put it in your tray. And the third type is where you each get 10 seconds as a group. You get 10 seconds to look at a card, and then it's turned face down and everybody has to try and reconstruct it from memory. Those are the 3 different types of rounds. Let me say, I like it, but with some caveats. I like it if you're playing with people that are of a similar ability to you or have similar skill set. This game is a speed game and it requires a lot of visual awareness and some dexterity. So if you've got people that are just much better at those things than others, the others don't stand a chance. Round 3 with the memory, again, some people are really good at remembering stuff and recreating it, and others just can't do that. So they're never going to be able to compete on a level playing field, and it can become disheartening. I'd also suggest that you make sure you've got some house rules. I don't really like round 2 with the whole re-rolling thing. I don't like that. I'd change it a bit, play it a few times, see what works for your family, and then and create your own set of house rules to make it a game that you want to play. It's fun though, it's easy to learn, and if you can create some sort of handicap for the people who are really good at it so that it makes a level playing field, like you can only use one hand, or you have to you have less time or something like that, then it might be quite worth it. Alright, so that is Cubits. Second, Meeple Circus. This is a great game. Again, you might want house rules because there can be arguments. I say this from experience. In Meeple Circus, you have your own circus, and that's represented by your ring, your circus ring. You have that in front of you on the table. There are 3 different rounds, and it gets. So I think they call the first one a rehearsal. Then the next one is like a dress rehearsal, and then there's the grand performance at the end. So you build up over these 3 rounds, and you build up your company of people, and you build up the things that you have available to you, and you get more and more exciting in terms of what you can do in your ring. So at the beginning of each round, there are a number of component tiles available, and a number of these, I can't remember what these are called, performance tiles or something like that. And you're going to choose one of either one of these or one of these on your turn. And this is just the preparation for the round. This happens at the beginning of every round. And then it's going to go around the table again, and you're going to choose one of the other type. So everybody's going to end up with one of this type and one of this type. And you're going to take the corresponding you're going to take the corresponding components that are shown on these tiles. So everybody starts with 1 yellow and 1 blue acrobat, and then I would get a red acrobat and a horse. It's a little horse, and my red acrobat from that card, and then I'd get another horse and a ball and another yellow acrobat. So these are the balls. So I'm going to develop the things that I have available to me. So I might start with quite a few things, maybe 7 things in the first round. And then there are, at the beginning of each round, there are some public, like on public demand, what the public wants to see in the circuses. And so there'll be different cards which says that you're going to get points, the number of points at the top, if you manage to create this within your ring. So in this case, a ball with a person standing on top, or in this case, a beam supported by a barrel and a person with another person on top doing some sort of handstand, or the acrobat's in some strange position, or a horse on top of an elephant which is upside down. So you're going to create your acts on your ring according to what the public wants, because you're going to get points for that, but also according to some other things which are going to give you points. First of all, if you put blue acrobats at the bottom, they're going to score you 1 point. If you have a yellow acrobat that is not touching the bottom, it will give you 1 point as well, so it's not allowed to touch the bottom. Your red acrobats, however high they are, if they are right at the top of a structure, then you're going to be able to measure the height of them against this clapometer. So I don't know if you can see this. Can I? Oh, right, look, here's my horse, and it's got a yellow person on, and on top of that is a red person, and I want to see how high my red person is. It's only 2 claps high, but that red person will give me 2 points at the end of the game. If I manage to build it really high, it's going to give me 7. I've not managed to do that. I'm clearly not dexterous enough for that. So that's the way you get points. Also, if you're the quickest, when you've done your when you've created your grand exhibition with your people all on top of each other, you go ta-da and you stop. And if you're the first to say ta-da, then you take the token that gives you 2 extra points. If you're second, you take the token that gives you 1 extra point. In addition to this, there are some rules about what you can do. Everything's got to be within the ring. So you can't go outside the ring, you can't go onto the edge of the ring. Also, everything has to have at least something on top of it. You can't just put things out randomly, it's too easy. It's not a dexterity game if you're just plonking things down. So everything has to be supporting something. For example, this person is now on the back of the horse. There we are. Nothing can go flat like that. So you can't have the horse lying down, the people lying down, the ball lying down. The only things that can lie down are the beam and the barrel, which I haven't got out. Now in round 2, you're going to take another component card and another one of these special cards, can't remember the name of, but in round 2 the guest stars are going to appear. So for example, this one gives you a tiger, and if you manage to place the tiger so that no animal or acrobat can touch the tiger, here's the tiger, then you're going to get 3 points for your tiger. This is the tightrope walker, and the tightrope walker has conditions as well. If the head of the tightrope artist must touch the ground, the head must touch the ground. So this is the tightrope artist, got to be upside down. Not very good tightrope artist if it's got to be touching the ground. And the ringmaster, here's the ringmaster. So you're going to get one of these special characters, and they give you extra points if you can put them according to what it says on the card. And you run the thing again. You keep all of the components you had in the first bit, and then you get a load more components for the second bit. In the final round, the grand performance, you're going to get another card, and this time it's going to give you a restriction about what you can do while you are building it. You're putting on a show. So this one says you've got to assemble your circus act without using your thumbs. And that will give you 6 points if you manage to do that. Or this one says that every time somebody falls, every time a component falls, you've got to say, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts, before you carry on. This one says you've got to cover one eye at all times with one of your hands. So you're using one eye and only one hand to do it, and that'll give you 7 points. There are others that ask you to name all the animals that you're putting down, or to give each one an adjective, so that you're really trying to perform. Now, I think the intention is that everybody does this at the same time, but you might want to have each player doing it separately so that everybody can watch them trying to do this, because that's quite funny. The game also comes with an app. There's a free app that you can download, and that gives you the music. So whilst you are doing your circus act, whilst you're balancing, you have a time limit of 2 minutes. Of course you can stop before that. If you say ta-da, you can stop and take the token, but you have to be done within 2 minutes. Last time we played, my son was creating this huge, enormous thing. The time ran out just after everything had collapsed. Hardly any points. It's a good game. Meeple Circus. And finally, Tokyo Highway. Now, Tokyo Highway does feature in my games, top 10 games with nice components, which I think, if Meeple Circus had been around when I did that video, I might have put the components from that in. But Tokyo Highway comes with these lovely little cars, and the whole thing that you create in Tokyo Highway is very beautiful. Now, Tokyo Highway is not a speed game. You can take as long as you want. You each take turns, and every player gets a certain number, according to how many players there are, a certain number of these are roads, and a certain number of these are supports for the roads. They also have some special supports that are yellow, a different colour from the others, and they have a certain number of cars of their own colour. So there are different cars of different colours, and they relate to the players. You start with several roads already put out, one for each player. And the aim of the game is that on your turn you are trying to extend your road. And so you're building your road up on these different, so the first one will go attached to the floor at one end, and attached to, and supported by one of the supports on the other end. And then when it's your turn next time, you're going to extend your road. Now, you can always only go up or down from the number you used before. So last time there was 1, so this time there's going to be 2. And I'm going to support on that end, that one, and support that one on that end there. So I'm creating this sort of road network, and then the next time I'm going to create another one that's supported on that end, and maybe supported here by 3 or by 1. You can go down 1 or up 1 each time. The only time you can do anything different, apart from going up 1 or down 1, according to the number of supports you use, is if you're using a yellow support. And then you can, then it doesn't matter if you go up 1 or down 1 or how many you use. So now, how do you get points? Well, you get a point if by building your road, you are going over or under someone else's road. So if there's already a road here, and another player comes along and wants to build something over here, let's say, and creates a road over the top, that player will get a point. But they have to put their little car on the road to show that that's a point. The roads can never go over the supports. Like, you can't have a road that travels over the top of a support. And you have to be able to place things on. If you go over and under, like if you go over one road and under another road, then you put two cars on. And it's the player who gets rid of all their cars first who wins the game. So there are a few other rules, like about when you destroy things. Like if everything falls down, then you have to give the player whose stuff you've destroyed some of your resources, so that you're going to run out of resources more quickly. But to be honest, we haven't found that we've found that the game finishes before we run out of resources. This, like Meeple Circus, is a very pretty game. You'll end up wanting to take lots of photos of your creations, and I highly recommend Tokyo Highway.